Time to dial in for your daily dose of downward comparison. The real reason life is brutally unfair for men. It's by Diary of a CEO.
Live our lives in as a distraction from the real world. And there's now more confusion than ever over what it is to be a man and the role of a man in a, and then we look at the stats around suicidality. And I think in Europe, the biggest killer of men under the age of 45 is themselves currently.
Mm-hmm. You see, not all CEOs are created equally. Couldn't tell you what this guy created. All I know is I'm the CEO of Third Eye Global, and there's just levels to this shit. This is an aura vacuum. Kick.com/Philion. I mean, you might as well just inject testosterone straight into your forehead. It's Monday, and I'm ready to run through a wall.
Is the shifting idea of what it is to be a man having an impact on people's sense of self and their purpose?
100%. So there's a crisis that's going on in men, and people think that this is new, but I don't think it's new. It's always been there. So if you look at even 50, 60 years ago, 80...
No, this is not happening with men. This is happening with boys. Little pussy twinks.
% of suicides are still going to be men. So historically, men have been killing themselves for 100 years, and no one's been paying attention. We're just noticing now because the problem seems to be getting worse. So there's a couple of things that are...
I mean, this is blatant nihilism. Look around you. You have OnlyFans whores. No purpose, no mission, no vision, no wife, no job.
Really interesting to understand. So one is that if we look at what technology is doing to our brains, the first thing that it's doing is it is externalizing our attention. So if you look back, let's say 1,000 years ago, as human beings, we spent a lot more time with ourselves. So let's say that you and I go out hunting, and then...
This is true. I speak as a creative genius. You need to give yourself time to be bored, for that mind to wander and to just exist on its own. You see, algorithms, streaming, reels, TikToks, gooning, they steal, hijack your attention span. You just so happen to be getting immense value by watching a kick.com/Philion stream. I mean, there's a difference, don't get me wrong. But the normie slop, yeah, you're ironing out the wrinkles in your brain on a daily basis. Quite literally nerfing yourself.
Let's say you shoot an arrow at a deer and you miss, and then I shoot an arrow at a deer and I hit. So in this moment, I'm...
Another copy-paste men's struggle alpha male soy cast. Yes.
Superior to you. And then we pick up the deer and we're carrying it back, and then we have about 2 or 3 hours to take that emotional insult and we kind of process it. We just give our mind space to...
This is crazy because neither of these men are capable of killing and processing a deer. And I'm not either. I'm just laying it out there.
Process it, which it does automatically. Now, if you look at what happens in people's days, they don't actually have any time to process what happens to them because we are so constantly distracted by external things. So I don't know if you're like this, but I was in this point where I was idiotically efficient. So I would wake up in the morning and I would listen to a podcast while I'm doing my exercise or whatever.
That's fake efficiency.
And then even when I'm cooking, I'm listening to a lecture.
Habit stacking.
And then when I'm walking to the train, I have earbuds in and I'm listening to a lecture there. On the train, I'm reading. I wanted my life to be completely efficient. I didn't want to waste
You ever just raw dog life? You ever just be a Chad Walker? No music, no destination in mind, just wandering.
Single moment.
I literally listen to the news in the shower. It's
right. So we don't want to waste time. And so if you really think about it, where's the attention of your mind? Your mind is pointed outside of you. And so then what happens is once we do not...
See, this is why you need to retard max. This is the new trend. Don't think, just do. Exist.
Pay attention to ourselves. We lose sight of our internal signals. Literally in the same way that if you raise a child in a dark cave, the photoreceptors in their eyes won't develop. They will atrophy. So anything that the mind does not get access to will start to atrophy. If I don't practice Spanish, I'm going to forget Spanish. The brain is a very efficient organ.
That's not true. I see a milky Latina and I remember Spanish real quick.
So as we externalize our attention, we lose sight of our internal signals. We don't know who we are anymore. And now if I don't know who I am, how do I figure out who I'm supposed to be? I pay attention to the outside. Where are the answers? They're on the outside. So this person is talking...
I feel like this is a huge problem with Gen Z, where a lot of kids need approval of what is cool. Meanwhile, the 90s, and I guess even earlier, the 80s kids, they allowed themselves to be cringe. And now we can look back in nostalgia and be like, no, we actually had it going on. That was the shit. Whereas everyone is too scared to be anything other than what is socially conformative.
About masculinity. This person is talking about what it means to be a man. This person is talking about what it means to be a man. And now, since I don't have any internal source of information, I'm trying to figure out what it means to be a man from the outside world. And this is when men get truly fucked, because what it means to be a man, we are getting all kinds of mixed signals. So on the one hand, it means being physically fit. On the other hand, it means being a provider. On one hand, it means having sex with as many women as you can find. On the other hand, it means having sex with just one woman and being a really solid man.
I love my wife.
And being a good father. And then there's also people telling us that being a man means that you're shit, right? That you're toxic, that your testosterone level makes you violent, that you're evil, that you're privileged, that there's a patriarchy, all this kind of stuff. So we're getting all this information from the outside about what it means to be a man.
You know what? I'm tired of being based. From here on out, I am leading the forefront of being woke. Everyone's coming to this side. It's not cool anymore. It's time to be transgressive. Go the other way. When they zig, we zag.
And so there are all kinds of interesting ramifications of this. So men in today's society are not allowed to complain. So if you complain and you're a successful person or a privileged person, everyone is going to think you're arrogant. Everyone is going to think, oh my God, who's this fucking guy? This guy doesn't know what my life is like. How does he have any right to complain? And even your...
As a CEO, Phil, what do you think about men going their own way? MGTOW? I don't know. I just think that entire sphere of divorced dads coping is horrific. I don't identify with it. I think it's on the cope cringe continuum. They're coping, which makes it very cringe. Men go their own way. Women are shit. So that's a skill issue. I know plenty of women. Beautiful people.
Mind will tell you this. You'll look at these people and you'll be like, yeah, I don't have a right to complain. But now we need to stop for a second and think about what it does to your psychology when you as a human being are not allowed to articulate your suffering. I've worked with people who've grown up in abusive households where children will say to their parents, Mommy, Daddy, I'm hurting. And the parent smacks them across the face. How dare you? You're so lucky. You don't realize the sacrifices I make for you. It's traumatizing to the child when they say, I am suffering. And
MGTOW is black-pilled. That's a good way to put it. Any sort of nihilistic ideology, get that shit far away from me. We are bloomers, not doomers, okay? I'm delusionally optimistic and irrationally confident.
No one listens. This is what we're doing to the generation of men. People are saying, I am suffering. For 100 years, men have been killing themselves. 80% of suicides are men. The most dangerous thing for a man under 45 is themselves. And these people have been literally killing themselves because no one has been listening to them. So in the same way that you grow up with as a child in a household that's abusive, where no one takes you seriously, no one listens to your suffering, and now...
You know how he said that the most dangerous thing to a man is himself under 45, because he's talking about statistically men do the thing they're not supposed to do? I just remember being a child, and there was like a couple of really scary ways to go out that just never happened, but I mean, they're still there, right? Lightning strike, shark attack, and quicksand. Those are the big three. As a kid, you think there's like a 75% chance of those happening to you at any given point in time.
We even have successful men who are not allowed to complain. So the psychological impact is the same. Anytime you have a human being who is suffering in some way and they cannot find connection with another human being, they cannot find compassion with another human being, that person is going to feel isolated. And if you look at the statistics on suicide, it's very interesting. So the number one thing that correlates with male suicide is not depression, and this is super scary. There's one study I saw recently that suggests that 50% of men who kill themselves have no history or evidence of mental illness. And this, I believe the statistic in my clinical practice because I
So it's an impulsive decision that just happens out of nowhere. That's great. It's good.
know what depression looks like. I know what bipolar disorder looks like. And half the men that I've worked with, at least, are not
You aren't a real man if you can't weld. I don't think this guy can weld.
actually mentally ill. See, mental illness means a pathology of the mind, which means that the mind is malfunctioning. Most of the suicidal men that I work with, their mind isn't malfunctioning. They genuinely have a life that is no longer worth living. They're looking at things and objectively realizing that there's no way out of this situation. So they turn to suicide. So I know it's kind of like a very controversial statement, but I think that's what
Until
my
death,
clinical practice is.
All defeat is psychological. I mean, you're only getting this insight at thirdeyeglobalkick.com/Philion. Couple of dark funk Christianity crusader edits, and we've never been so back.
Shown, and there's some research to even back that up. So if we sort of look at what's going on with men, we're sort of, they have nowhere to turn to. And the number one thing that correlates with it is not mental illness, but is a sense of thwarted belongingness. So this is kind of like multivariate regression analysis. But basically what happens is what causes people to kill themselves is they try to connect with others and they get rejected. So it's specifically a very specific research term called thwarted belongingness. So I try to belong to a group, and that group, or multiple groups usually, will thwart my attempts to join the tribe, to join the community. And this is what actually correlates a lot with suicidality. So what's going on with men right now is that we really don't allow them to suffer.
Reminds me of learned helplessness. Psychological condition where an individual stops trying to escape a negative situation, even when they have the ability to do so, because they have learned from past experiences that their actions have no effect. See, that's a low agency. Here at Third Eye Global, we have a couple rules. Intelligence is one thing, agency is another. I don't care how smart you are if you have low agency. You could actually be retarded with high agency and kill it in this life. Many such cases. Anything that is low agency reeks of pity and sympathy. And
because then you're not manly. And we're so externalized with our attention that we're not connecting with ourselves. And so we're looking to other people to tell us what it means to be a man. But that may or may not work for you, right? That may have been what worked for them. So then we kind of get into this problem where we're disconnected from ourselves. And
I hate when my girlfriend calls me during Philion streaming hours. Listen, I get it. Happens all the time. Just tell her you're in a mastermind right now. It'll all make sense soon. Click.
And like the world doesn't accept us. We're not allowed to suffer. And that's what creates the problem.
What is the remedy to this?
So I think the first thing is we must reconnect with ourselves, right? So when you're kind of saying like, why does everyone think, oh,
I kind of hate the state of normie podcasts where like that is the question. He just spoke for 12 minutes and that's all he had to say. Okay.
I need to like achieve this. I need to make this money and things like that. Where did you learn that you should do all that? You learned all that from the outside.
Instagram,
right? So we get fed all of
these guys are 6 years late to Jordan Peterson, I suppose. Oh, you better start cleaning your room.
These ideas, because if you look at all these influencers, what are they doing? They're never.
And Jordan Peterson, JP the GOAT, has been memed into oblivion. Various pitfalls. His daughter Michaela, the Daily Wire, his health conditions. But if you really toss all that nonsense and noise to the side for a second, the very essence of cleaning your room, I've said this before and I'll say it again, I'll continue to say it, is such a powerful thing. And it gets memed on for no reason. I remember in my life, personally, and this is why it resonates with so many people, men or women, boys or girls, is because it's one immediate action you could take to better your situation. You can't think clearly if you're surrounded by chaos, disorganization, a mess. You owe it to yourself. When you clean your room, it is an act of self-respect. It means that you are worthy to be in an environment that is orderly. And then that is a quick little little dopamine spike. And you carry that throughout your day. The opposite of that is how you spiral into nihilism. Because if nothing matters, then what's the point? It's like when you take a shit, you're supposed to clean your ass. But the way that these people act, it's like, well, I'm just gonna poop again anyway. So like, why don't I just get off the bowl? Why don't I just let it crust? If you think like that, you're not gonna make it.
Crying, they're smiling. Some of them will even pay very attractive women to take pictures with them.
Well, some of them are crying, but they're crying and uploading it for ulterior motives, right?
Absolutely. And I think a lot of them are genuinely suffering too. But then it's also like, I mean, there's all kinds of weird stuff going on. So one thing is like people say that we don't allow men to be emotional. Nowadays, but people say, oh, men are allowed to cry. So this is something that I experienced even in my marriage where we allow men.
If you think in these vague terms anyway, these generalizations are pointless. Men are this, men are that. Because it presupposes any depth to a person. I don't know, maybe bro's a big crier. Maybe bro's a huge baby, and I love him for that.
to cry, but we don't allow men to be angry. But why is it are men no longer allowed to be angry? Just think about it for a second. So anger is just a completely normal emotion, right? But if I'm in a situation where I'm in an argument with my wife and I feel emotion A and I express emotion A and she feels emotion B and she expresses emotion.
Last time I checked, half the population wasn't sure what a man was. So true. What is a woman? Vietnam flashbacks, COVID, the pandemic, Biden, the soy, Dr. Fauci, booster shots in my arm, a mask on my face.
These two things should be equal, right? We as both human beings get to express what we feel. Now, in the case of me expressing anger and her expressing sadness, she's crying and I'm yelling. Suddenly, I've become a villain.
It's so interesting. I saw a viral tweet yesterday. It was someone Googling, my wife is yelling at me, what should I do? And then my husband is yelling at me, what should I do? When they Googled, my husband is yelling at me.
Let me guess, the top recommended search queries underneath that were vastly different. So when a woman does it, ready, watch this. If a woman Googles it, says, how do I fix this, right? My husband's yelling at me, what do I do? It's going to be like domestic abuse hotlines. Watch. Guarantee.
What should I do? Domestic violence helpline comes up. There's like a Google pop-up. When you Google, my wife is yelling at me, what should I do?
Cue the fucking alley-oop of a century, slam dunk Michael Jordan, 500 IQ, 3D chess analysis. I mean, people ask me why I just react to shit. Now, look at this. I beat YouTube.
Nothing comes up.
Yeah.
Because obviously, as you said, in the case of villainization, I know that most domestic violence comes from men, but it's interesting that we see the emotion, we interpret the emotions entirely differently because of that.
Absolutely, right? So we as a society will say like, oh, men need to be in touch with their emotions, but not anger. And then this is what really screws men, because as men, we are socialized and conditioned.
You're not going to save all men. So what's the point of this? You must speak to the individual. These wishy-washy thoughts have no application. Should men cry? Should men get angry? I don't know. Did you get cucked? Did someone kill your dog?
To only feel anger. This is the only emotion you are allowed to feel as a man growing up. And this is the one emotion that gets demonized when you're older. So I'll give you a simple example.
I am an autonomous body. I'm finna do what I want type shit. I'm too New York for any of this, man. I just fucking put your Timberlands on, go get a job, put on the fitted, and keep it moving.
So like I used to get bullied a lot, right? So when I get bullied in school, like what am I supposed to do, Stephen?
In school, well, it depends if you can fight back.
Absolutely, right? It's fighting back. Like you didn't say talk to the teacher. You didn't say ask for help. You didn't say cry about it, because if I cry about it, what's going to happen, Stephen?
You're going to get bullied more.
Absolutely. So we turn every emotion. So men experience anger as something called an umbrella emotion. We literally suppress and are conditioned to suppress all other emotions except for anger. And then if you talk to men about their experience of life, anger is always the first thing that comes out of their mouth. Someone breaks up with you. How do you feel about it? Do you feel ashamed? No, that's not what we say. I feel pissed off. How could she do this to me? And then we vent that anger on the internet, and then this turns into
I don't know, I just go lift or something. It's not that serious. Make the voices go away. Make the number go up on my bench press.
misogyny, right? And then we get demonized for it. And it's not that there isn't.
Would you rather be a theory cell or an action Chad? Think about that. Think about that. Marinate on that one.
We should be harshly judged if we act on those kinds of emotions. I'm not saying that that's the case. But what we also need to consider is that the men who are...
We need anger to build rage, though. How can we whirlwind with no rage? So true. You got to let the anger manifest into rage. This way you can rage dump and do a lot of DPS. I mean, that's just warrior rotation.
saying these kinds of toxic things are saying that for a reason. This is because of their upbringing. This is because of the world that they lived in, right? So we're conditioned to only experience anger. Even sadness gets turned into anger. Shame gets turned into anger. Fear gets turned into anger, right? So if I'm afraid of something happening, what do I need? I need to man up, get angry, right? Like, let's go, son, let's go. This is the emotion that we tap into to overcome fear. So we don't feel any of those other emotions, and we're left only feeling anger.
At the very heart of aggression, I heard someone say to me once that at the very heart of aggression is some kind of insecurity. But for men, when they encounter that insecurity, they only know how to sort of manifest it as aggression.
So I wouldn't agree with the first thing, that at the heart of all anger is insecurity, but I would absolutely agree with the second thing, that the only way.
See, we ignore all of this, right? I keep it even simpler. It's so simple, it's almost stupid. Everything in your life is a skill issue, and everything is also plotted along the cope cringe continuum. Next time you do something, ask yourself before you do it, am I doing this because I want to do it? And if I do it, am I coping, or is this going to be cringe? If you can strike that perfect balance, and listen, there's times to be cringe and there's times to cope. There are. As long as you keep in mind that whatever it is you're doing is solvable by getting better, getting your skill up.
We know how to respond is with anger, because
So here's the exact quote, just found it. The source of aggression is insecurity, as we are unconsciously aware that our position in life is never secure. People feel increasingly insecure and helpless, so they will be increasingly aggressive and confrontational at a personal and a social level.
So let's tunnel down into that for a second. Okay, so I think that that is true on some level, but also I would disagree. So the first thing is that we have parts of our brain, even animals feel anger. But I think that, like, when two dogs are fighting over territory, I don't think that that's born of some kind of identity of insecurity, right? So if we really look at like the evolutionary purpose of anger, this is my opinion, is that anger is the emotion that we feel to protect our territory. It's a protective emotion. So if I slap you across the face, what's the first thing that you're going to feel? It's going to be anger.
Maybe I'm just too much of a Chad, but I rarely get angry. Do you guys get angry as a man? Sure, there's time and a place, but like true anger, I can't even think of the last time that happened. Once every 6 years, I'll get angry. I'll get pissed off. I'll get irritated. But angry, and there's a difference, right? I mean, I've watched enough protest videos to see true anger. When somebody's eyes, like, go fucking black, and you just start seeing through them.
So if I insult you, you're going to feel angry. It's fascinating the way that it works. So anger causes our thoughts to be faster. Anger causes our peripheral vision to collapse to 30 degrees. So I only see what's in front.
Phil, you crash out almost every stream. What do you mean? I mean, those are calculated crash outs. Completely different. They actually provide me with more energy because it's a positive feedback loop. I crash out, I get amped up, I crash out, I get amped up, and then I end stream, and then it's a complete decompression. Hyperbaric time chamber releases, and I can finally leave my Herman Miller $1,700 gamer chair. And then I rest, recover, repeat.
And it also makes me less sensitive to
Well, that's
pain.
also because I microdose the soy. I'm not here straight boofing that shit, right? It would be unhealthy if I'm here on weekends, not streaming, crashing out. This is my job.
So like my nociceptors will actually like start to be suppressed when I feel angry, right? So if I get into
Saying the MSRP is kind of wild. You know you made it in life when your chair has an MSRP. I had to include that for Reddit so that they can cope and seethe. Because they think I'm on the brink of bankruptcy and everyone left me in my life. But that's neither here nor there. I'm actually doing way better than I ever have.
fight, I'm going to feel it tomorrow, but like while I'm getting hit, I'm not going to feel it. So I don't think it's born of all insecurity.
Oh, I bought this one new. This is not an office hand-me-down, okay? This chair has not been pre-farted in. It is designed for my cheeks and my cheeks only.
I think anger is simply an evolutionary response. It's something that we experience to protect ourselves. That's why we feel angry, right? So if I attack baby bear, mama bear is going to come out angry. So it's really a protective emotion. Now, I agree with the second part of the statement 100%, that when we feel insecure, especially as men, the only way we are taught to deal with our problems is through anger. Right? So if I'm feeling insecure, if I'm feeling ashamed of myself, if someone's bullying me, what do? I put them in their place. Right? I don't try to make peace. I don't complain to someone because no one's going to take me seriously. Right? I have to stand up for myself.
So we've got the first point there about how we remedy this challenge, which is about self-expression, more self.
Bro crossed it off on an iPad, on a soy pad. Where's the pen and paper? I mean, here at Third Eye Global, kick.com/Philion, I have a rule. If you're a subscriber of this channel, which all of you are because of our generosity and our CFO, Chief Financial Officer, moleskin, pen, paper. This is my pen of choice. It's the Friction. It actually glows in the dark or something like that. It never truly erases. You can bring it back with water. We went down the whole autistic pen rabbit hole.
Self-expression. That's what I heard.
Not
If
self-expression.
you're not putting shit down in lead or ink, you might as well just say it to the universe. Kiss it to God.
Introspection.
Introspection, getting to know ourselves.
Right? So it's very simple. So if you look at your idea of what it means to be a man, what percentage of that idea comes outside of you? And what percentage of that idea comes from within you?
About 90% comes from outside of me.
And that's why 90% of people, we're 90% fucked. Right? So, and if you...
Damn. Bro just said you're 90% of an amalgamation of a bunch of random strangers' inputs. Think about that. This is why I had to do some self-growth, some introspection. What do I believe? Why do I believe it? Where did I hear that from? Is it true? Do that enough times. You'll get an actual self-concept. You'll be grounded. And then you're actually hard to psyop. You're not easily manipulated.
Look, and I'm sure you know this, and you've probably done this too. If you look at where is the goodness in your life, where does it come from, Stephen? It doesn't come from what other people have told you. They may have told you something, but then you looked within yourself and then you found that to be true.
Yeah.
The goodness in you, the motivation, the really good motivation in you, not chasing things, but the duty that you have, everything that you really strive for, all that good stuff comes from inside you. And the problem is that we live in a world that pulls our attention away from ourselves.
What do you think
I don't live in that world.
of Andrew Tateism then?
So-
Oh my God.
As a general rule, I don't comment on people that I don't speak to.
Mhm.
So tell me the features of what you're talking about.
Okay, so the recent wave of internet masculine influencers who have like Bugattis and
Dude, what year is this? 2021? Tate already won, dude.
lots of women and sports cars, and there's many of them. There's many of them, and they seem to be resonant for some kind of reason. That are kind of
Yeah, to Indians and third worlders. I mean, take a Western man that is working a trade, college educated, or in the military. They're not looking at Andrew Tate being like, if I just hustle hard enough, I'll get a Bugatti. No shot.
saying that the way to be a man is to have loads of money, lots of women, these kind of cars, physical strength, and there's just this huge sort of generation of young, typically men.
The only bald man I listen to is my dad.
That are now disciples of that religion.
Yeah. So I think if you dislike that toxic masculinity, what we need to understand is it's the people who hate that toxic masculinity that are driving these people towards it. So I know this is kind of crazy. So what's happened is this has grown, right? And as it's grown, what have we done?
How is a Bugatti toxic masculinity?
We've demonized these people. We've said these people are bad. And as we demonize them, what's happened? They've grown stronger. So this is something that's very important to understand. If you are a man and you say, I am suffering today, what is the response that you're going to get?
Shut up.
Absolutely.
Not in those exact words, but that's whatever the words are, that's what they mean.
Now, I want us to be very, very careful, right? So if you are listening to Stephen say people tell you to shut up.
I'm convinced that 99% of the audience that slops this all up are just virgins. Because if you're socialized and actualized, and I mean spiritually virgins, not just actual virgins, they think physical release and pleasure via sex with prostitutes, whores, and hoes in polyamorous, smelly, polycule relationships is going to be revolutionary for their life. They're going to find contentment in that. That is a 12-year-old's idea of like the meaning of life.
And your first thought as a listener is, no, that's not true. That's the problem. So if people agree with you, they understand what you're saying. But if they disagree with you, that's the problem. We literally have a man who is telling us right now that your experience is when I say I'm suffering, people tell you to shut up. And then people are going to be judging you for saying that. And they're going to be saying, no, that's not true.
They're going to be saying, shut up.
Absolutely. Right? So this is exactly the problem. So men are struggling right now, and the rest of the world says, no, you're not.
This is true. Dudes be saying that all women are whores and the dating market is fucked when they haven't even tried working on themselves or going out and meeting women in years because they don't want to. Half those guys, 90% of those guys are gay. Yeah, it's my inner man circle. Oh my God. Men go their own way.
You're privileged. You're a man. There's a patriarchy. And I'm not commenting on the sociology of it. There is a patriarchy, whatever. Men have many advantages in life. I've experienced many advantages of being a man. It's absolutely true. Let's not go there. I'm talking about the individual experience of men. So there is one group of people on the planet who says, yes, your life does suck. And that's these toxic masculine people. They're the only people that truly validate men's experiences. Because everyone else says, why are you complaining? And these guys say, yeah, you're a fucking loser. What are you going to do about it? They at least meet you where you're at. And they say, yes, your
MGTOW to femboy addict pipeline. We got to unpack that one.
life is hard, and I will show you a way to make it better. Whereas the rest of the world says, no, your life isn't hard. What are you complaining about? And I've seen this as a doctor. I've seen patients who are complaining about pain, women who are complaining about pain because they have an internal bleed within the wall of their uterus that cannot get detected. And they're saying, I'm hurting.
The average woman could not comprehend the pain of the man flu. A common cold knocks out even the strongest of men for 2 weeks. If she doesn't tend to his every need, he actually might wither away and die. It's very important.
I'm hurting, and we ignore this person's pain. And that's when things go bad. So for years and years and years, we have ignored the struggles of men. And there's one group on the planet who accepts them with open arms. And the more that we demonize them, so when someone starts believing in this toxic masculinity, what is the response? Do people ever ask?
I don't think any of this is that deep. A lot of these people just fall into archetypes, literal cartoon characters of themselves to farm money off social media. And that's where it ends. Sure, they may theorize about various states and dynamics, men versus women, gender roles, politics. Nah. Everyone on the internet doing this shit is doing it for money.
Help me understand what your life is like. Like, what do you like about this person? Because everyone's going to them for a reason, but we never bother to ask. Why are you listening to this person? What does this mean to you? We see these posts all the time in our community. My boyfriend is getting into this stuff. My son is getting this stuff. How do I stop it? Hold on a second. Don't try to stop it. Understand it first. Because everyone's trying to stop it and no one is bothering to listen to what the experience of these men are. And that's why it's getting worse and worse and worse as we try to stop it.
So if I'm the mother of a son who is watching a lot of these sort of toxic male influences online, what would be a better approach versus just banning the computer and telling them that that's toxic and not to look at it?
Help me understand what you like about this. What is it like to be a man in today's day and age? How do you feel about yourself?
Johnny, you're 9 years old. What? See, I was left to my own devices to kind of figure it out. I didn't have a helicopter mom. My parents were working, okay? They didn't have time to sit me down and be like, why are you playing an undead rogue in World of Warcraft? That never happened. My dad would open the door and be like, are you winning, son? I'd be like, yep. All right, bet. Nobody cares about you besides you. And then he'd close the door. Son, you want to toss the frisbee? Peek.
How does it feel knowing that 70 to 80% of women want you to make more money than them, and yet 60% of people who graduate from college are women? So men are living in a world today where there are impossible expectations to meet. And so, like, what is it like to be?
Skill issue. We have another rule at Third Eye Global, and we talk about it sometimes, but I'm going to harp on it for a hot second. Okay. When presented with a generalization, a graph, or a statistic, you look it dead in the face and say, nope, not me. Could never be me. That's average. I'm not the average in anything. And that could actually, you could lie about it too. Like, I encourage you to lie about it. Because first of all, to fix anything in your life, you have to fix your mindset. And if you admit that you're average, you already lost. Yeah, we are the 0%. It works. And it's true.
Be someone who fundamentally has no chance at success. Right? These are the kinds of things that you need to say to these people. You need to give them an alternate place to go where they can be heard and helped, supported, and understood. See, anytime we make a judgment, our mind already has a conclusion. There's nothing left to learn anytime we're judgmental. So what do we do to all these people who are toxic men? We even create the word toxic. We literally label them as bad in some way. And I'm not saying that the behavior isn't toxic. But what I'm trying to point out is that even in our language, there is so much harsh judgment. So I once had a patient.
We both just did it, didn't we?
Absolutely. So I once had a patient.
Shit's goofy. Average woman wants. Women don't even know what they want on the surface half the day. Some girl might say she would only date a millionaire, and then next thing you know, she's married to a bum that was just funny. Yeah, if you're goofy pilled, I mean, if you're jester maxed, 100 P.
Who is smearing feces all over the school. So adolescent kid, right? And when you have a kid who's literally taking a shit and wiping it on the walls and stuff, what happens? The kid gets punished. Kid gets punished again and again and again. The one really
We really need to ask the kid, why are you smearing poop on the walls?
sad thing is no one ever asks, why are you doing this?
What? There's no way.
What's going on inside you? Because healthy kids don't do this. It's only kids who've been traumatized in some way. And as I've worked with incels, as I've worked with people who are toxically masculine, it always starts with trauma. And
I am 2 for 2, bro. I mean, new rule, I don't reason with poop throwers, okay? I don't need to ask them why they're doing what they're doing. Okay? This is not the Terrifier. I don't care how much you're paying me. That is not acceptable behavior.
I say always, this is a clinical experience, but I'm talking about 100%. So 100% of people start on this path by getting hurt in some way, by getting taken advantage of in some way, by sacrificing something and not getting something in return. And they have their share of responsibility too. I'm not saying that they're hapless victims, but I think that people...
On some real shit, there probably is some deep psychological relationship between crazy, disgusting acts of attention and like serious problems going. I mean, that's the only logical conclusion.
People who are raised with love and compassion and do have connections don't go down this
Or bro just wants to see the world burn. I don't know.
You're so passionate about this, aren't you? Because I feel like your eyes have seen in your practice some pretty heartbreaking things.
Yeah. I mean,
Like, what, bro? He's a psychologist. He's a fucking... You seem pretty... Yeah, I only dedicated my entire adult life to this. Holy shit.
I think it's
I just study psychology on a random Tuesday. I'm speaking out of my ass.
See, unless we are willing to be what these people need, they're going to continue going down the toxic masculinity route. Someone needs to start offering these people safe haven. No matter what they say, or not no matter. I think there should be
Bro works with incels. He wasn't in Nam.
consequences for actions. But so this is as someone who's worked in a jail, right? So and this is what's kind of interesting if you really think about it. People will judge me for talking to or even trying to support people who are toxically masculine. And they're like, oh my God, you're such an asshole. You're giving these people a platform. How could you make the world a worse place? And then I tell them I worked in a jail for 3 months. And they're like, oh, look at you. You're so compassionate. You're working with these people who are like criminals. And like, oh my God. I don't think they realize that anyone you see on social media is 10 times better than the people that I worked with in jail. This
is true. One of my best friends, so I would even consider him a brother. Crazy stories. Not going to dox him. Insane stories. Picture Arkham Asylum in real life. Allegedly.
People who are actual pedophiles, actual rapists, right? Not just talking about it. Maybe the people on social media are too. I don't know. And so it's really interesting the way that our mind automatically judges things. And so if we really want to fix this problem, and I think we need to fix this problem, it's just my take. I mean, I'm not I'm a big fan of like compassion and trying to support other human beings. I'm not saying that that's always the right answer. I think sometimes you may need things like war or violence or whatever. I mean, there may be causes for it. But generally speaking, I think that like demonizing these people isn't working.
He brought up poop throwers and then turned around and brought up working in a jail. So now he needs to talk about why those people play with their shit. Probably just bored.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do.
Now that I think about it, even at my lowest, in the trenches, and hypothetically speaking too, I just don't envision a situation where I'm pooping, picking it up, and playing with it. But hey, you never know.